Felicitous greetings, fellow Fanatics. I'm Adam the Fanatic, and welcome to part 3 of Sega Month. Today I'm going to be talking about Total War. Although not initially a Sega property, in 2005, Sega purchased Creative Assembly and its famed Total War series along with it. Total War is often touted as a real-time strategy title, but I don't think that's the best descriptor. While the biggest draw of the game is most certainly the real-time battles, these are all tactical engagements. The strategic portion instead takes place on a turn-based world map where you manage cities, raise armies, and move your forces about. Whenever two or more enemy armies clash, they engage in real time. Though they lack the exploration factor, they scratch that very familiar 4X itch. I guess you could consider them 3X games? As I said before, the tactical engagements are the meat of the series, and really, how could they not be? The original draw of the games was the sheer number of units you could field at one time, with larger battles having thousands of soldiers individually represented. Now, mind you, you can't command individual soldiers. You can only command them grouped as units. But even so, you can zoom in and see them clashing, and even in older titles, it still holds up pretty well. I can't go into everything that the series has done, but I would like to briefly look at my personal top 3 for the series, and what draws me to each of them in particular. Firstly, standing at number 3, we have Shogun 2. I'm well aware that this is the community favorite, and I'm probably going to get a bit of flack for not having it at number 1. But make no mistake, I definitely see why people enjoy it. This was the first game to use the modern engine, and politics played a larger role than ever before here, as you not only had to contend with managing your rivals, but also had to constantly watch your allies, as they were likely to betray you if you ever got too close to achieving control of Japan. There's a great variety of units here, not only including numerous varieties of samurai, but you'll also have the option of trading with Portugal to get some European galleons. Though billed as trade ships, keep in mind that this is the high age of piracy, and as such, trade vessels in these days were armed to the teeth. A single galleon can take out a dozen Japanese vessels with relative ease. To add to all of this, they also released a standalone expansion known as Fall of the Samurai. Whereas Shogun 2's main campaign was focused on the Sengoku, Fall of the Samurai was practically a whole new game as it instead focused on the Bakumatsu, making it the most modern of any Total War title to date, allowing you to use things like Gatling guns, amphibious artillery strikes, and torpedoes. At my number 2 spot comes Medieval 2, the first game to be released after Sega's acquisition of Creative Assembly. Medieval 2 covers the largest time frame of any Total War game thus far, as well as having the highest number of playable factions without expansions. Combined, these two facts give a great deal of unit variety, as you'll start with swords and catapults, and eventually advance your way to the likes of muskets and cannons. To top it all off, you'll also have to contend with various historical events. The Crusades, the Jihads, the Black Plague, the Mongol and Timurid invasions, and potentially even discovering the Americas. Though this does require a nation to actually make that effort. Though not the largest playable map in a Total War game, that honor goes to Empire, which spans several large sections of the globe, it's still impressive in scope nonetheless, especially if you take the time and effort to discover the new world. So what then is my number 1? I'm not one for the cult of the new, but neither do I believe in berating something simply because it's new, although I may be a bit biased here. As soon as I played Medieval 2 for the first time in 2012, yes, it took me that long to get around to trying the series, I wanted to see what the series could do with 3 Kingdoms. This game is one that I've wanted to see for a long time, and honestly, one that I thought was a pipe dream for quite a while. After all, there's so much myth mixed in with history here that it's hard to separate the two. So they didn't. Instead of going the more historical route that Total War typically takes, you now have the likes of Guan Yu, Lu Bu, and Zheng Liao as superhuman forces of nature that can single-handedly decimate enemy lines. Character building goes from a light feature of the series to a major focus with RPG-like skills and equipment, allowing you to outfit troops with legendary weapons and armor. But what if you don't like that? Well, worry not. 3 Kingdoms allows you to go from the default Romance mode to the more traditional Total War experience of Records mode, wherein generals return to their normal selves. Still a major necessity for the morale bonuses they provide, but now just as vulnerable as any other human would be if you dare to place them on the front lines. I could probably go on for hours comparing the various factions within these games. There's so much depth to explore that you can easily sink 100 hours into any one of these titles and still not see everything that it has to offer. I'm far from an expert in any of them, but they always have me coming back for more and trying new factions that I've yet to see the nuances of. So what about you? What's your favorite Total War game? Are you looking forward to them continuing to blend history and mythology with the release of Troy? Or perhaps instead you're hoping that they'll return to the more historical roots once they're finished up with that? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below, and please remember to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. And if you've been enjoying Sega Month, be sure to join me next week as I take a look at the JRPG classic Phantasy Star 4. As a huge fan of the SNES's JRPG library, how well will this first impression of the Phantasy Star series leave its mark upon me? Tune in next time to find out. Until then, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked, just for you.